All right. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be back again. Another afternoon session with me. Ask me anything. So, of course, if you have any questions, feel free to share them on the chat feed. Of course, I have some recent questions right here on my phone that I look over from different members of the community that share with me. But of course, I will take on some live questions and comments as we speak. So definitely, as always, tell me where you're coming in from. Would love to hear. We have some people from New York, from different parts of the States, across Africa, wherever you're coming in from. Definitely let me know. Would love to hear where my audience is coming in from. So where do I even begin? I mean, before I get into the questions, like this has been such a crazy week. I think many of you feel it. Of course, like Bitcoin has like literally took a crazy low. So all my cryptocurrency like fanatics are definitely like just on a scramble of either like buy, sell right now. Of course, there's been a lot of recent developments regarding like, obviously in the career space. Crazy announcements from Amazon in terms of hiring abroad, crazy supply chain updates that I'm seeing in the news right now about people trying to reassess their supply chain structures in the midst of, restructuring and opening it up. So it's a lot going on this week. And so I'm sure you guys feel it. But as always, definitely just send in those questions and I'll answer from obviously my perspective, but also what I'm seeing, not only from our company perspective, but personally, since you guys know that I speak at so many conferences, travel a lot. Even in this pandemic, we do travel and to see what's going on, mainly for personal family reasons, but also just really just monitoring our teams that are scattered across different parts of the world. So it's been a very unique time. So again, we'll take it from there. So this week, in terms of questions that are coming in, again, I think I mentioned this last week, that I'm getting a lot of questions around monetization, career strategy, personal branding. So clearly a lot of people know me for these topics. And of course, what tech tools I'm using. There's a lot of productivity questions that I'm getting. So I'll probably start answering those questions first. Let me actually just pull it back up. But yeah, so definitely happy. So I see a couple of people sharing where they're coming in from. And, again, just, ask you questions and I'm monitoring to see the responses as I go live here. Really great to see some of the questions. So one of the questions I got on productivity that I really, really like was, what do I do to actually like balance my time as opposed to just essentially doing a lot simultaneously. So I think I've said this before. I'm a big proponent of not always multitasking because I think it's very important that you do have focus. I bucket my time a lot. So I have times in a day where I'm dedicated to email and follow-ups. I have time in my day dedicated to errands, and I have time in my day dedicated to actual like thought reflective work, whether it's writing a proposal, reviewing contracts, strategy planning. I think people don't do enough strategy planning. So one thing I would say with productivity, yes, I could go over some of the tools that I've shared before in previous Ask Me Anything sessions, but I'll start by saying that it's very, very important that you know how to dedicate certain times of the day for certain things. And you'd be surprised that don't try to create a schedule that is not right for you. I think there's too many productivity gurus, and I say gurus, who tell you what you should be doing, and they don't even follow it themselves. I think a lot of people are lying and making it seem like it's very easy to manage it all. I'll be very frank. I've just gotten really good at saying no to certain things because it's very important that you understand that it's not easy to balance, family, friends, business, career, productivity. It is not easy. So the best thing is to find out, first off, what is the best time of the day for you as an individual that you're at your most ideal mental space where you feel like you're the most productive. For some people, they're early birds, so it's in the morning. For some people, they're a night owl, so it's in the evening. Whatever that may be, you need to figure out what works for you personally. I know in my family said there are people who operate really well, at night. And for me, I shut down by the nighttime. Not everyone's an early bird. And I know in society, we structure it for people to be ready to go at 9 a.m. and ready to close at 5. But that doesn't mean that's the best time for you from a productivity standpoint to schedule your day-to-day lifestyle. So first and foremost, find out what is the ideal window of time in the day that makes you most productive, and make sure that time frame, once you figure that out, make sure that time frame is very sacred, where you don't have any interruptions, dedicated to doing probably the hardest thing that you have to do for the day during that time. So I'll give you a perfect example. I actually write a lot of our contract proposals for our mega clients. You guys know that we have institutional clients, corporate clients, like government institutions, corporate institutions. You've seen I've worked with LinkedIn, Google, Facebook, and all these major institutional clients. And a lot of it is really me getting really good at assessing their needs and really writing really great proposal, assessing what is the best form of engagement for this client. And I know it needs a lot of thought and reflection. So during that 2 or 3 window of time, usually I'm best in the morning side, between that window from like 8 a.m. to like 11:30 a.m. I don't do anything that has to do with administrative work, like checking emails, anything that has to do with errands work, because again, you probably have 20,000 to-do lists to get to, and you end up mixing everything together. I don't do that. So that 3-hour window of time is very sacred, and I dedicate it to doing just that. And that's why I'm able to hit those proposals really, really well. So that's the first thing. And the second thing I will say is, bucket your time. I said this before, bucket your time to do certain things. I already said, like, Mondays and Fridays is my time to really assess myself. So I don't schedule client meetings and calls. I use the middle of the week to do the bulk of meetings, client partnership engagements, and stuff like that. So from a productivity standpoint, hopefully that was very helpful, and understand how I do things and how it's helped me tremendously when it comes to getting things done and getting things done efficiently. Second, I just seen a quick question here from Michelle. Thank you so much. She said, writing from Brooklyn, do you have a conference scheduled for Haiti anytime soon? Great question. So many of you know I am Haitian, c'est Haïtien. So one of the major tech summit programs that we host every single year at GSC is Haiti Tech Summit. It's been taking place since 2017. Can you believe it? This will be the 5th edition of the summit. Last year was virtual due to the pandemic. We are going to be announcing the dates, times, and details of Haiti Tech Summit edition by the end of the month. So stay tuned. You'll find out more information on that. And of course, a lot of questions around how we're navigating the, I would say, event ecosystem in general. Since GSC, we host dozens of tech summits across Africa, across the Caribbean, and around the world. And we work with about 100 different 40 global and local partners to make these tech ecosystem building initiatives successful on an annual basis. And again, because of the pandemic, we are reassessing how we're going to do it this year. We already put a lot of things in place. So you're going to be excited on the new announcements and the new topics and themes that we're bringing to bear every single year, especially this year. So stay tuned. You'll get more information for that. With that said, another question that someone asked me, which was, I thought, pretty unique. This one's coming from, her name is Wellen. Her question was, can you state for us, how do you actually balance getting and monetizing your business? Were you able to do a program to learn how to make your business viable, or is it something that you learned through trial and error? So this is random. I didn't think I was going to get a business model, or pretty much how do I make money with my businesses, right? Is what this question boils down to. And I think that one thing that I'm a big proponent of is the freemium model. I do believe that, maybe because I'm in the social impact space, I do like this concept of making your products and services accessible to as many people as possible, but making it viable and sustainable and scalable by having premium options for your clients when it comes to your business. So many of my businesses do operate from a freemium perspective, where at the baseline, we make it accessible to as many people as possible. And for those who can afford it or have access to our resources, or institutional clients, pay a premium for certain access points. So that's something that I've done with my previous businesses. As far as how I monetize my personal brand, that's a whole nother conversation in itself. But one of the top ways that I've monetized my personal brand is I've created courses with my content. So I actually teach about personal branding. I actually have, if not probably one of the only digital personal branding accelerator programs in the world. So if you want to learn from start to finish how to build your personal brand, I actually have a full course series about how to do that, masterclass series about how to do that. So I've monetized that. I've monetized speaking engagements. Now a lot of my speaking engagements I deploy to impact initiatives, use the funds for that to really empower other women, especially because I feel not enough women are getting invitations to speak at major tech conferences and government programs. Sometimes I'm one of, if not one of the few female speakers at many mega events. So you guys know that I'm a big proponent of really preparing women for the digital age with my Her Future Career Accelerator program and all the different tech initiatives we do through Her Future. And so, which is that you can look up Her Future Summit. It's an annual program I host every single year to empower women. And so it's one of those things where I figured out a way to monetize pretty much my expertise in thought leadership. I'm actually going to be doing more white papers. I think that's something that more people should do more of. I have so much intellectual like IP that I've created in terms of business model ideas. I'm a big proponent and expert in digitization. And how to really digitize tech ecosystems, how to create national career initiatives to really upskill communities. So I've created white papers that has led to speaking engagements, partnership proposals, and contract work. So these are the different ways that I've monetized my personal brand. I don't do consulting anymore. I think there's a big question that I've received about consulting. I think it depends on the person. I like to teach en masse. Hence the reason why I'm here doing Ask Me Anything sessions. I do like to impart my wisdom to the masses. That's just my personality. Mainly because, in the past, when I have done one-on-one consulting sessions, I'm not gonna lie, it's one thing to give people access to information. It's another thing to motivate people. And I think intrinsic motivation is not common. And I think that's something that I hope that you take away from these Ask Me Anything sessions. Probably ask me how I keep myself motivated, how I keep myself consistent, because you guys know I'm on point. When I come out there, I come correct. And part of it is, I would say, a combination of discipline, motivation, passion, and real strategic thinking around my roadmaps. Once I create a roadmap for the next 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 years, it's already done. Like, pretty much, like no matter what circumstances that will come to make that path either more troublesome or more misdirected, it's going to happen. And I definitely think that there should be a bigger conversation around guidance and wisdom around how to actually plan and coordinate your career objectives in life. Because I think a lot of people get caught up in, oh, I wish I did this by the time I was 25, or I wish I did this by the time I was 18. Life doesn't work like that. If you really believe that you're going to have a longevity in your life to do a lot of amazing things that you personally believe will make you happy and fulfilled, then you look at the roadmaps and you look at the circumstances and resources that you have and think about the creative ways to get to that end goal. And I think more and more people should have that mentality when it comes to their career objectives in life. So that's how I answer that question. So to that point, that's how I've monetized my businesses, through freemium models, and monetize my personal brand via these unique ways of creating courses, creating white papers, obviously merchandise too. I also have an online store where I have like different quotes and sayings. These are very creative ways, and it's passive income. It just put it out there on my website, sleep and repeat. I just wake up and see the orders come in. That's leads me to another quick question that I saw, not during this week's Ask Me Anything session, but last week's Ask Me Anything session that I didn't get to, was how do I balance getting access to multiple streams of income? And first and foremost, try your best as a society to not overthink how to make money, because I think a lot of people get caught up. And I don't know if you guys notice, on YouTube, it's so frustrating. Almost everybody is like a passive income guru. Oh, click here to find out ways to make 7 figures within 30 days. The gimmicks are real right now. And I do think it's because more and more people are working from home, or more and more people are working remotely, and more people, I would say, are not patient with their objectives in lives and are looking for these quick money schemes or these quick solutions, right? And it's very important that I think that, you really are reflective of, like, try to build a foundation. So I have this thing where I have all these ideas that I have that I want to execute on. And I think of like, how does this integrate into my day-to-day lifestyle, right? So is this an idea that when I do it, like, is it going to be something that I need to check on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis? Do I need to hire someone to manage it for me? I think creatively around that. And so one thing I would say is, regarding these questions around monetization, how do I deal with passive income? There's just certain things that I do. Like I said, the content that I created, where you create it, you put it out there, and people could just click and engage. And I use tools like Shopify to do that. I use tools like obviously Fiverr to get the right contract workers to automate certain creations. And I also do have remote workers who manage these things. So be very conscious around balancing your plan and really think creatively about what is your foundational stream of income right now. Make sure you do that well, because a lot of times people move away from their foundational income stream because they're chasing the next big thing and not making sure that they're clear on, let me make sure that this is solid and then work my way to add different elements to complement my passive income streams or my way of life over time. So I want to make sure that that was very clear. Another question, again, guys, in the next couple of minutes, if you have any questions, just show them live here on the session. I'll just get to them as soon as I can. The next question I had here, which was really, really sweet, was regarding how did I actually build the global startup ecosystem? Is this something that I worked with different partners in the beginning? How did I build this within, well, they said within 2 years. It actually took about 3 years, but within the past 3 years. So I think you guys are aware of them, the founder and CEO of the Global Startup Ecosystem. You already see the information right there. And one thing that I would say regarding how I built GSC, just to be very clear, it actually happened by accident, because a lot of people don't know this, but a couple years back when I learned how to code, one of the sites that I coded was GSC. And I started putting it out there that I think we should have a better mechanism of training and developing people virtually online. You got to think back to that time, back in 2014, 2015, when everyone was talking about incubators and co-worker spaces. Now it's so funny, like everything is like so virtual. But back then, there was a trend towards making sure that people build as many co-working spaces as possible and in-person development activities. And I was one of the few that said, we still need to create capacity for digitalization. How do we create digital platforms for people to be able to tap on building their businesses online, building their brands online, building their careers online? And that's something that I really believed it was going to be the forefront of the next decade of people really learning how to do that well. And so I started by coding the website, putting it out there. And I would say, again, going back to this freemium model, because I had a lot of users use our platform in the beginning days for free and really learn to grow, leveraging my network and expertise to get a lot more people on the platform. It really helped to really get a lot of great partners on board very, very quickly, because they could systematically see the progression when it comes to building out the ecosystems in the different countries that we were operating in. So I highly suggest that, well, a lot of these ideas that people come up with, that you really think through why you're doing it, because I know I was frustrated as hell. And I would say that again, I know my accent is American, but I'm Haitian. Many people know I'm Haitian. My husband's Ghanaian, so I have this background where I have this trinity of, perspective of this American perspective, this Caribbean Haitian perspective, this African Ghanaian perspective, where I am able to visibly see some of the setbacks that a lot of communities are facing and create solutions for those communities, because they irked me personally. And so I think it's important to see, like, what is it about the problem that you're trying to solve irks you, and you'll figure out, because you're trying to create solutions for yourself, you'll be able to create a really great mechanism for that. And so Hubert, thank you so much. I just see a quick question from him right now. How do you balance family life as a wife and a mother with business? Okay. The truth of the matter is, it is not easy. Thank you so much for that question, Hubert. So yes, I'm a wife. I'm a mother of 3 kids, by the way. 3. I have 2 girls and 1 boy. And by the way, my newborn is like a couple months old. So I'm still even in that cycle of sleep deprivation that many of you probably know already. And one thing I would say when it comes to balance, the first thing I would say is not that you can't have it all, but you need to accept that balance means that you guys select what actually makes you happy and go for that. Do not like, for example, I've seen so many articles, and this is me being very frank, so many articles, so many commercials, so many superficial promotions about what it means to be superwoman in this day and age. And I think it's actually a disservice to our girls and our women, who are told that, you deserve it all in this way, and not being told, like, okay, what do you really want? And how do you make sure you create the ecosystem? And what I mean ecosystem, the family and friends and support to make that happen. So for example, I'm very blunt in saying that I leverage my in-laws and my parents to support me with our kids, right? I grew up with my grandparents, so I have a huge love for my grandma, for my grandparents, because I grew up with them, right? And I think a lot of times we have this nucleus family mentality where you could do it all, but there's a beauty to having the involvement of your family when it comes to bringing up your kids, mentoring them in a way that makes them ready for the future in a unique way. And I do think like children that have the love of their grandparents, their aunts, their uncles, and extended family have a different way of looking at the world. And so I think the first thing is ask for support, right? I do not shy away from saying like, hey, like I need this type of support and going for it. And not so much being entitled to it, but demanding it. Because I think a lot of us, like some people might think, oh, Christine, you make it look so easy. I make it look so easy because I'm not shy to ask for help. That's one. So you don't have to be superwoman. The second thing I would say is your partnerships in terms of when you think about how you schedule a day is very important. I would say going back to discipline. I'm very disciplined with my time. Like clockwork, I wake up every day at a certain time frame, right? And start my day and get certain things done. I actually do have a quiet period that I end and start my day with, where I literally, even if I have a calendar, I write out what are the main things I want to achieve for today. And usually I have one, and actually my husband actually helped me learn this, and he probably doesn't know this, but what is the one thing that if you accomplish this day affects everything else that you're doing for the day. So for example, especially as a founder, you're going to have a million things to do every single day. And that's just a reality. And the priorities always shift every single day, where you think you're running through your checklist and you're completing it. And there's another set of 20 items that just get added. So what I do is every single day I say, okay, there's 20 things I need to do today. What is one thing, if I get this done, I would feel that I accomplished the most? And keep in mind, that could be as, for example, I have to complete a contract agreement for a client, a major six-figure client. I have to send the operational details for our team. And then third, I have to schedule my newsletter. And then the 4 to 10 might be other, miscellaneous admin stuff. Because we like to keep sometimes ourselves busy because we're trying to fill a space, it's very easy for us to end up doing the administrative stuff, sending the operational things to the team, and not do the one thing that I know for the day will make or break my day, which is fulfilling the contract agreement because there's a deadline. Does that make sense? Right? So it's very important that you pick what is the one thing for the day that if you do this, you accomplished the major thing that you need to get done for the day. And everything else also keep in mind, the happier you are when you accomplish a big goal for the day, the easier it is to accomplish everything else, because you end up doing the small things that are not as pertinent, with a lot of I would say edginess, where you're annoyed and you don't realize why you're annoyed. And that energy exudes into your interactions with other people. And there's something called Murphy's Law, where you feel like everything is just going wrong when you need everything to go right. So I would say that, that's a balance of strategy, discipline, and energy flow. I do think energy flow helps you attract certain things in your day-to-day that really makes things easier for yourself. Because I get a lot of complaints from my family where it's like, oh, Christine, it's so easy for you to do this. It's not easy for me to do anything, right? It's just the fact that I'm so disciplined about how I organize my time and how I set my day that it looks like I'm making it look easy, but it's because I learned how to balance and prioritize what I feel will progress my steps. So some people say, Christine, you're so good at monetizing your business. You're so good at managing people simultaneously, and you're so good at still cooking every day and balancing with your kids. Literally, it's a combination of balance. So to answer your question, Hubert, hopefully that was helpful. It's discipline, balance, and real strategy. I'm really asking help from those who I trust around me to make sure that I'm as optimized as possible. So, and the final thing I would say is also set rules for your ecosystem. I think when it comes to balance, especially as women, we don't set rules for our ecosystem. So, for example, I tell people don't call me on weekends, right? I make it very clear that, there's just certain time frames you cannot engage with me because I'm either spending time with my family or I'm doing certain things. So I think like set real clear rules for your ecosystem and don't violate your own rules. So if you're saying to tell people not to reach you on the weekends and you respond to an email on the weekend, probably, and even respond by saying, don't reach out to me on the weekend, you're already engaging with the person. So you're already teaching them the wrong things. So if you teach your ecosystem how to support you, your ecosystem could do better. So really great question. So thank you so much for asking. I have time to take on 3 more quick questions. And one question that I received here was regarding how to leverage, let me see what she said here, how to leverage good hacking tools. Now, I don't know which tools that you're asking of. I don't know if this productivity tools, because I get a lot of questions regarding productivity management. But one thing I would say is don't always try to chase, and I'll say this candidly, don't always try to chase the next big thing when it comes to tools, because I've also seen people create a whole library, spreadsheets of all the new tools for marketing, all the new tools for productivity, all the new tools for time management, and don't end up using any of them. Right? I can't tell you how many times people sign up for Monday.com and I'm like, you're already leveraging Slack. Maximize Slack until it gets to a precipice where you feel like I need the next big thing and I can transition to a Monday.com, for example, right? So it's really, 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 really important to like think about, well, what tools am I using today and how do I optimize it? So first case example, I use Google Calendar, right? Which means I don't really need to be looking for like calendar management, tools, right? Where I know there are ones that are more optimized and have all these cool new features, but it's how I maximize the usage of this basic tool. Why look for others? I'm just going to frustrate myself. And keep in mind, there's something called a kind of like, that transition time it takes for you to understand how to leverage your tool. If you keep doing that every single day or every single week where you're trying to learn a new tool every single time because you think you're optimizing yourself, you're going to end up overwhelming yourself and not use tools at all, right? So definitely do that. The other thing that I was saying when it comes to tools, I also go old school as well. I think not enough of us leverage old school things. It's funny, I'm sitting right here. I'm talking to you guys through a digital medium, but this is actually my day-to-day book. And in this book, I actually show you right now, I have like my top, to-do items where Friday, May 28th, and I put down what my priority is. So the first one right there is like priority, like what's my priority for the day? And I have a list of other items. Mind you, all of this information is in my calendar. It's digitized already. It's in my emails. It's in my Slack channels. This is what I have to do for every day. But I don't know why. Something about writing it down not only helps me remember it better, but I like the process of checking things off. So a lot of people are crazy to find that even though I'm into like digitalization and really using digital tools, that I still have a handy notebook that I use on a regular basis. So it's very, very important to me that I still have the old school form of engagement with stuff. Another thing I would say when it comes to productivity, we talked a lot about tools, but I will share some things that I do for myself to make sure that my surroundings help me to be more productive. So one thing that I would say, so I'm looking around my space right now just to be very, very conscious. I have obviously all times, do I have things that, will make me keep moving and leaving my desk? So I like to eat. By the way, I cook almost every single day. No, every single day. I like to cook. And so food is very important. So I always have food around me. So either if it's this is actually a full meal, by the way, rice and tilapia right by my side. So whether it's a full meal or whether it's snacks, and snacks for me is like fruits and vegetables. I'm not really big into candy. I had that already by my side because the more times I have to go searching for it, go finding it, it just takes away from my productivity. But if I have a structure of having these things readily available, it makes my life a lot easier. Another thing that I have too is, I don't know if you guys know this, but one of the biggest things that we need to make sure that you have is make sure that your phone is always on charge, right? So one thing that's really important to me is making sure that I have a charger socket in different rooms and in the rooms that I'm always there. So you know how sometimes you might have a charger, and you actually like, you carry that charger everywhere. So I have a portable charger that I have in my bag. That charger is for my bag. It does not leave my bag. I have a charger in my in our bedroom. All right. So that charger in the bedroom does not leave. And we have a charger in the work office or a charger in the living room. The point is, the process of you taking the plug out in each room is actually mental bandwidth. And that leads me to my last thing that I will say that helps me a lot with productivity. Eliminate as many things that takes brain space that causes you to not use that brain space for high level thinking things that really change the needle on your career and your life. Perfect example. You guys know I love my kente outfits from Ghana. Obviously, like, I rep Ghanaian clothing all the time. You see my earrings. I actually have a wardrobe, I kid you not, with about I think right now about 200 plus dresses and outfits with kente designs of every single wear that I could wear. So that way, from Monday to Friday, the last thing I'm thinking of is what I need to wear. Now, many of you probably are aware of the fact that, Mark Zuckerberg and all these other mega founders have wore a t-shirt every single day. Part of it is why waste my brain space on what I'm going to wear every single day when there's so many other things that I could be focusing my brain space, especially when you're on the grind, where you're trying to really get things done, and you're trying to get to the next level of your career and trying to really grow and assess, and you need a lot of brain thinking to do that. I am a big proponent that I eliminate the things that in my surrounding will create me to deplete brain space, to make sure I'm maximizing my brain space for what matters. So to summarize, one, chargers in the rooms, in the locations where you need the most, make sure it's easy to find chargers in those places. Second, I don't overthink what my outfits are on a daily basis. So I make sure I have a wardrobe that makes it easy for me to wake up, get dressed, get out the door, right? And third, make sure that the things that I know that makes me productive and happy is around me. For me, it's water. For me, it's food, because I'm a big foodie. I cook every day. And it is paper and pen. I don't care if I have everything digitized. I have my paper and pen books, because the process of writing and elimination, thinking, and putting my thoughts on paper really do help me. So wanted to make that very clear. The last thing I would say is I see I'll take one more question from one of the previous questions in one live. I see a question from Salah. Does it get lonely at the top? Asking from France. Actually, I wouldn't say I'm at the top yet. I think I'm on a crescendo. I definitely feel like I'm actually proud of my career journey. I love the experiences that I've had. I mean, I've been able to work, and I'm still working with actual governments, including the U.S. government. I've worked with presidents, heads of states. I've been around celebrities, big mega moguls. I work with corporates. I've been featured in every media outlet you think of. So from face value, you could be like, hey, I've done a lot to, be at the top and really have a successful career. But this is only the beginning for me. Sincerely, this is just based on me pursuing my passion. I have so many creative business ideas and so many creative ways of building solutions for the communities that I love, that I look at myself I'm looking at every decade of my life as, how do I keep optimizing my personal joy in life by having my family? I did not compromise and say look, I'll focus. And this is my choice, by the way. I'm not shaming anyone who does this, but I always knew that what would make me happy is having a family, right? I'm a mother of 3 kids. I'm married and I'm happy, right? And I have a business that's providing for our ecosystem and providing for me and my family, but more importantly, serving the communities I care about. If that's not the definition of happiness, I don't know what is. And I think what makes me even more happier is that I'm clearly aware of the fact that there's so much more that I could do. And I'm not saying that there's a way I look at it, right? It's not that, oh, there's so much more I could do. I regret not doing this when I was 20 or no. It's that, wow, God, if you could bless me to have 10 more years, 20 more years, 30 more years, 50 more years, a century to live beyond this day, what can I do with that century? And there's a beauty in knowing that every decade in your life have its time for you to accomplish great things that matters to you. Not what mainstream says matters, but what matters to you. So right now in my 30s, I'm enjoying it. I don't know what I'm going to be doing in my 40s, right? I plan a lot of things out, but it's really understanding that it's okay to take things in a stride. So to your point, it's definitely not lonely in the fact that luckily I'm married, so I have my partner in crime right by my side, which helps a lot. I have my kids who are cheering me on because one thing I would say, one of the best joys of parenting is knowing that every day there's someone that's just excited to see you as if they didn't see you yesterday. So for example, wake in the morning and I have my kids say, "Hi, mommy." Like, that's an awesome feeling where there's someone in this world that's just excited to see you as if it's the last time that they've seen you. I mean, that, come on, like you can't just not be excited, right? But one thing I will say is, I'll end by saying that I do have down moments, and I think that, not enough of us are honest about the down moments. And I think for me, when I have my down moments, whether it's like I lost a contract, or whether a family member did something disappointed, or maybe there was something I wanted to do, I applied for that and get, I usually take a point where I accept that I'm pissed off or I'm annoyed or I'm sad. I let me go through my emotions, right? And I go through those emotions because that's part of the journey of development, is going through disappointments and embracing that. I am not shy by saying I have cried, I have been sad, I have been angry, and going through those motions. And then I go to the other side where I think of, okay, what's next, right? Get up, let's go. Like, what's next, right? And so I would say that, when it comes to like really thinking about your career journey and development, I think the reason why I've been so productive and been able to scale to the magnitude that we've done with my company is that because, like, look, like, you only as successful as your mindset. And I think that's very, very crucial, because if you have a perspective where you're constantly thinking that you're not even embracing the small wins that you're doing and the big wins that you're taking on, how can you actually be proactive and really getting to the top and the top and the top and the top and seeing your precipice grow, grow, and grow? So I would say that it's really, really important to think about how you evaluate failures and ups and downs in your day-to-day, because it's part of life. And so hopefully you have a person to vent to. I know my husband gets it. But it's one of those things where it's worth the journey, man, because when you get to the other side, you're like, I'm ready for this. So that's what I'll say with that. So I do see one more question here. I'll take it and then I'll end this Ask Me Anything session. This is from Joshi. Any upcoming programs for startups? Of course, go to globalstartupecosystems.com. You'll see dozens of career accelerator programs, tech programs that we're running. Obviously, many of them are free and accessible. You could join the GSC community. You go on our website so you can have continuous access to programs for startups and tech and influencers in the community. So definitely look into that, because we have them throughout the year. So with that said, how would I end this Ask Me Anything session? I mean, I know there's still a couple questions I didn't get to go through, but look, I'm here every Friday. So next Friday, I'll see the roundup of questions. Oh, hi, Felix. Nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining. It's always nice to see familiar faces on the thread as well. Really appreciate it. So I think, like I said, it's been a crazy week. I already started off the conversation by saying, like, look, like, this year in Bitcoin has been ridiculous. Just seeing like the investment ecosystem change, just saying like employment levels, like, just like, COVID-19, re-entering the workforce initiatives, all these different things. I'm watching the headlines like a hawk, not because I needed to strategize what's to come, because remember I told you this last Ask Me Anything session, create a worst case scenario, mid case scenario, and best case scenario to operate. So that way, when it's on the news, it's already too late. So I'm monitoring it like a hawk just to see how the vibe of the ecosystem in the world, because one thing that we need to know is that, the world's undergoing a crazy transition right now. It's probably a once in a lifetime transition that you could simultaneously all agree, no matter where you are in the world, that we're all experiencing at the same time. And so I'm constantly monitoring to see how people's energy flows. And I think it's very important. It's changing during this time, because there's certain things that I feel like as a society that we're losing, but there's certain things as a society that we're gaining. So constantly be on the observation of like trusting your intuition and your gut as you monitor people dynamics and relationships during this time. Don't be sensitive and take things personal. That's one thing that I would say that really has helped me throughout this pandemic, knowing that people are going through their own battles and trials and tribulations, but also really great opportunities are being given to people during this time as well. So being very mindful that people are going through a lot of transitions during this time and just being excited for that. has helped me a lot. So with that, thank you so much. Someone just said like, happy to see my energy. I really appreciate it. So I'll see you guys again next Friday. As always, same time, same place. If you have any questions, again, whether it's career development, business development, my personal lifestyle choices, how I go about things, whatever it is, there's no question that I won't accept to answer. I would love to answer as many questions as possible and make this useful to my beloved community, which is you guys. So talk soon. See you soon. Next Friday, same time, same place. Bye, guys.